Melissa Caddick's property is for sale at the moment, so we thought no better time than to talk about, can crime kill your property price? Stay tuned.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. How are you, Nat?
I'm good. How are you today?
Hey, great. You've picked a juicy topic today. When I read the topic coming up for this morning, I was like, ooh, I saw the Melissa Caddick house and the price, and I was just like, this is a delicate one. It's delicate.
I know. It's an interesting one because it's been on like real estate news. All I've been hearing about is Melissa Caddick's house that's up for sale. And I think it's really interesting, like buying a house where crime has taken place or like is associated with a crime. I think it's a little, weird pocket of real estate that I think is worth talking about.
It is, and a couple of things we're going to cover today. It's different in different countries, the way we respond to it. Sometimes the value goes up, sometimes the value goes down. And I think agent disclosure is pretty important as well. So what's the agent meant to tell you? What should they tell you if there's been a crime in a property? And some homes that have been exposed to this over the years and how they've been treated. It's a juicy topic. I think you nailed it today.
I know. I think it's a fun one. I love true crime myself. I think a lot of people out there love true crime. I think especially on the beaches, there's been a rise of it. Like, I think there was that podcast about the murder that took place in Cromer that happened like in the 80s. Like, it's always juicy, the crime topic.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
well,
what do you reckon? Price up, price down?
I think it is, as you said, it's dependent on the country and how close the crime took place to the time the property is selling. So I think I read a statistic from 2015 from a university study that said the year after a murder takes place in a property, the price actually goes down 3.8%. The second year goes down 2%, but then after that, it's like it never happened. So I think that's an interesting reaction, like just looking at the stats from that. But again, if someone recently died in a property, I don't know how, if people would want to be coming in too quick.
Especially through that sort of crime as well, rather than natural cases. But I had some exposure to it once where we were at, it was in Beach Street, Curl, and the property that we were selling, unfortunately the tenant died from a drug overdose the morning of the auction. And we ended up turning up to, the sales rep ended up turning up to the property and couldn't wake the guy, unfortunately. So we switched the auction from an on-site auction to an office auction, and everyone turned up to the office, and then the auctioneer had to disclose the nature of sort of what happened fully. Strangest thing, guess who bought it?
Who?
Ambulance officer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did not care. Just paid whatever he had to pay. Seen it before, we were shocked. So I guess there's something for everyone. Is a good thing out of that. Where I guess when you don't know, it's damaging as a buyer. But if you know and disclose, I think you can just find the right buyer for the property. But you definitely take a chip on price in Australia, I reckon. On a property that has had a crime and a death in it, I think you take a chip on price. But it definitely, if you think of these things in the media a long, long time ago, these homes you wouldn't even know where they are now. But you distinctly remember the suburb and what happened, when it happened at the time, but it definitely tapers off. Tough topic.
That's crazy. Well, that's one thing, is like natural deaths in a property. I think there are different rules between natural deaths and like murders, for example, about how real estate agents have to disclose. So one of the biggest things I found in my research for today is that it's this Latin phrase. You probably know it better than me. It's caveat emptor. Is that how I'm saying it right?
Caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Because in a lot of states, some real estate agents don't actually have to disclose that a crime has taken place in the property unless they are asked.
I find that weird.
Which is weird, because that's not the first question you're going to ask when you enter a property. You're going to ask about like the rooms, how many bedrooms. You won't say, "Oh, did a murder take place here?" No one's
going to even think of that. But I do always recommend, when buying properties, talking to neighbours for stuff like this. I think you've got to meet the neighbour, ask the neighbour if it's strata or if it's a house, next door neighbour, what's the area like. That's where you're going to find out the lowdown and the goss. So you're going to get the good oil from not just good old fashioned knocking on the door and talking to the neighbour. They will happily volunteer information, and their motivation, generally, they don't care if the property sells or not. So they're just going to tell you everything.
Exactly.
As well.
Well, that's like, that's creepy. I love hearing, like, I'd love to hear any stories that people have. Yeah. I can't think of any in my neighborhood. I live in Beacon Hill, but I know my partner lives in Newport, and his street was recently on the news. He just moved, but there was a police officer shot a man on the street. There was a domestic dispute, and then this man ended up getting shot in Newport. It was all on the news, and I was messaging him being like, "This is your street, like, did you know about this?" And he was like, "No." So it goes to show it can happen anywhere, but like, definitely talk to the neighbors, because they know the history of the suburb and what's happening in the area.
Yeah, I had an apartment in DY where it was a beautiful old man, and he was just he asked me I went to his family's. He was living with his daughter out west, and his unit he'd vacated in DY. It's very morbid. This is very morbid for a
for a nice Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning, it's like, and I was, I was appointed to sell his home. I got offer accepted on his home, exchanged and sold his home. And I remember ringing him, and I was, so happy for him, excited that he, his sort of new chapter of life is going to be living with his daughter. But he was taking it really hard, and he asked his daughter to have one more night at the property, and it was a top level property. And unfortunately, he jumped out of the window of the property, and I had to disclose that to the person who bought it. And the person who bought it said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It wasn't in the property."
Oh my God! Well, that's yeah. You wouldn't think it wasn't in the property, but oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but again, full disclosure, I think that when you're buying something, you ask the neighbours. I think when you're buying something, you ask the agent. I think in Australia, we'll chip the price. So Melissa Caddick's property, which is selling now, do you think that's going to sell for more than what it's worth, given its exposure, or less?
I think I am going to actually say the opposite of what my research has been telling me. I think it's going to sell for more, considering that it's a property associated with crime, but the actual house itself was not where the crime took place. And I think it's got a bit of that novelty, like, oh, this is Melissa Caddick's old place, and it's going to have lots of, I think more, because it's got so much media exposure.
I love that. Anyone else got feedback on that, if you think the property's going to go for more or less?
Yeah, and if anyone isn't aware, it's a $15 million, it's guided at $15 million. It's a Dover Heights mansion. I think it's 5 bedrooms. It's a gorgeous place.
I've been there.
You've been there?
I've
Another
been
one to
there.
add to the crime, the crime
I've,
properties.
I've been there. The
Oh,
actually a friend of mine built it and sold it to her.
wow.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So it's been we've definitely been poking him in the ribs over the last couple of years over it. Um, didn't know the lady, nothing to do with the lady, just sold it to her. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lovely home,
Yeah.
and you reckon
Oh,
it's going
well,
to go for more?
I think it's going to go for more. Like, I don't think there would be any reason why people would be like, oh, it used to belong to a con artist. I think in a way it's sort of like, oh, yeah, it used to belong to a con artist and now it belongs to me. Like, I think it's got a bit of like swagger in that way. But
It's
I don't
interesting,
know.
and I think you're right. There wasn't inside the property there wasn't a murder, for instance. But just on that, off air you were talking about some crime homes that are sold overseas. It's different in America.
America is insanely different. I think, especially with like, I'm a huge movie nut, so I think
America.
it's because of movies like The Conjuring, like the Amityville Horror. Like, I think over there, prices go up if a murder has happened there, which is very strange to me. But
It's
so,
weird.
yeah, so for
So the
example,
Manson house, I think you said Charles Manson, the house there. How much did
the
that get?
it's guiding at I think 117 million Australian dollars. So it's a huge mansion. It's where Sharon Tate got murdered, a bunch of other people, but Sharon Tate's the one most people know. But yeah, and I think it probably will go for that much. I'm not sure if it's still on the market, but yeah, the more intrigue, the bigger price. And I think it's just, I think we've touched on this before actually. And when we're talking about like celebrity homes, just being able, the first thing that you can say to people when they come in the door, oh yeah, like, did you know that Charles Manson was in here? Like, I think there's that niche market of people who love a good story with their house.
Me personally, couldn't do it.
Not part of that. Well, that's like,
Nah.
I was reading up, there's an Adelaide home and it's a mansion that was, I think it sold for $1 million and they purposely decorated it with all like spooky mannequins and dolls and like they bought haunted like items and put it all throughout the house to make it look like the Norman Bates house from Psycho. And it's so,
No.
like, it worked because I don't know who's buying this. I'd love to have a chat with them, but it's crazy. I think there's something about spooky homes that people really, really like.
Yeah, they love. So look, I guess all in all, out of today, in summary, what we've spoken about, crime homes in Australia, I would say on balance less in price they sell for. If you are buying a home, you can ask the real estate agent. Don't feel silly. If you are buying a home, definitely talk to the neighbours and just ask them how's the hood, anything they can tell you about the property. They'll always tell you interesting stuff that may not be crime stuff, but, relevant. And in America, these homes generally go for a little bit more, which is different to Australia.
Yeah. Well, and another thing for New South Wales in particular is that if a homicide has happened within the last 5 years in the home, the agent has to disclose it. And
Yeah,
if there's
okay.
been a meth lab or any drug related crimes inside the home in the past 2 years, they do need to disclose it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think
Meth
the
lab.
main thing is meth lab because I think that can have lasting effects on the next buyers.
Chemicals or
Because,
something. Yeah,
the
right.
chemicals, especially if
I
there's
like Mel's comment. US murders happen every second, therefore probably could not buy a house in USA without history of drama.
true. It's like
America.
American Horror
Love
Story.
America. Love America.
Oh.
All right. Well, everyone, I thought this was an interesting one for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much, Nat Pat.
Oh, thank you, Mark. This was a good way to start my Wednesday. I feel awake now.
Yeah, it's I definitely felt awake when I saw the topic. I was like, "Ooh, that's a juicy one." So it's definitely in the media at the moment. Good luck to the purchaser who buys Melissa Caddick's home And to the people, I think that sale of that home is going to square off a fair bit of the money owed to people that lost money. I saw.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
Well, 23 million is owing, and it's guiding at 15. So, 17 or 15. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there and if they pay it off.
You take care, everyone. And it's going to be a sunny day. Take care.
Hey, easy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.